right. Some of them, you know, people get overzealous. They try to yank everybody in, and they didn't do a good enough job of getting them excited enough to look forward. So when you call them on, and it's very typical. What happens is they're not interested, or they say they're not interested. However, here's an interesting point. There's a group of maybe 10% at a trade show, maybe 15% at the max, that are actually interested, from my experience, being in a lot of booths. So 90% that come through, or 85 to 90% that come through, really are not, that wasn't your thing, they kind of roamed onto the carpet. You need a way at trade shows to identify the qualified, so that the guy who's just there completely not qualified. So you need a smart opening question in a trade show to get somebody's interest. And if you don't do that and you just bring them onto the carpet and yank them on, they're much more difficult.
The real world scenario is that we are instructed to ask level of interest,
Right.
various qualifying questions.
Right.
And we do have a way of marking that lead up, but it still seems to be that the leads we are asked to follow up on come back. It should, in my opinion, the way the company should handle that type of person is a mailing piece from the marketing department which says, thank you very much for attending our show.
Yeah.
Here is a basic piece of information. The local representative will be more than happy to meet with you at any time. Just give them a call. And let them be, as a person who just came in and said, I just was walking around looking for information. And if the salesman, in some respects, dealt with that customer, I made a decision already. This guy is just kicking the wheels, and it's not really worth following up.
So where are the leads coming from then?
They come from our company.
No, but I mean, where the source is the trade show, though.
We have 3 major trade shows.
Right.
One of which is real buyers go to, which is
Right.
the radiology buying person. Then we have a neurospine surgeon who Dr. Demadian thinks will be the buyer, and in some cases could be the buyer, but in some cases could be a referrer of patients to a center. And then we have an orthopedic spine meeting, or an orthopedic show, of which our contingent of interest would be any orthopedic person sending either spines or any other type of MRI procedure out.
Right.
So the reason to be at those shows is to expose them that this product does exist, but also hopefully to find a smart group that says, you know what, I got to be in the MRI business. But it doesn't seem that the quality of that lead is coming back the way I would think it should be coming back.
You know what I'd really like to do, Doctor, if you wouldn't mind, and I have really no problem with doing this in the time we're here, I'd like to call some of the leads. If you have leads that you think are really just complete, see, cold leads to me are almost something that really, from the way I do business, identifying the market first, once I pre-identify the market, I don't really see leads as being cold. That's already something warmed up. They're already somewhat in the business, or they know about the business, or they can be educated on the business. And that could be a way of, just a matter of the way it's being handled. And again, it could be sometimes a psychological thing where, because the leads from the past maybe haven't been as good as you wanted them to be, that gets in our head. And one thing I was taught early on, don't qualify any piece of paper. Meaning a lead comes to you on a piece of paper. You can't qualify a piece of paper. You can only qualify a prospect. So my thinking and my mindset and my visualization before I get on the phone is, I've got 30 seconds to get this guy interested in hearing another word from me. What am I going to say is quick? Calling somebody up and saying, I saw you at the trade show, snoozer, gone. I saw you at this, snoozer, gone. Doctor, I have an investment that you've already looked at. Don't even tell them what it is, that you've already looked at, that I know we have many investors that are making a tremendous amount of money. I was wondering when could I come over and just give you the details on it. How do I know about it? Well, because frankly, you ran into us at one of our trade shows, and this is an investment that people are making a tremendous amount of money on. The difference between making a call like that 100 times versus I saw you at the trade show, my return's going to be here, and you're going to be fighting and kicking yourself, why are these leads so bad? So really it does come down to, just out of experience, telemarketing and front, I don't even like to call it telemarketing, by the way. We don't in the room call it telemarketing. We call it direct contact marketing. because that's what it is. It's direct contact marketing. When I get that person on the phone as a professional, telling isn't selling, and if I can make that steak sizzle, I'm going to get an appointment. That's my whole intention on outbound cold calling. Nothing else.
Glenn, yes. I would inject something else relative to what Bill was talking about. I think one of the things to remind yourself is that the trade show is genuinely a product of an earlier era when manufacturers of these products had only one place to demo their product. But the modern electronic age is changing that drastically. You can have your product from soup to nuts on the internet. We have the technology to do that today. We have the technology to do telemarketing, which didn't exist when these trade shows come into existence. And I have read in marketing literature that the impact of trade shows is declining. And your experience that you have just related may in fact be reflecting that, because people that have products to sell are now finding alternative, more successful ways of selling.
Well,
Let me, for example, we're working on our website with a detailed description of the product. Now, the customer that's interested in the product can now go to the website at his leisure, and he can get every single detail there is to say on that product. How could you ever transmit that at a trade show?
Well, my point is, and that's why I was hoping you would come to that realization. I've come to the realization that the trade show policies of all companies has to change, because as you know, let's say a major trade show comes out. I personally go to who I think would be my best prospects and hand them an invitation. I then follow up with a telephone call, and I also make sure the ones that I'm really excited about gets one about 3 days prior to the show, just to remember where the booth is. But you still have a problem with, that's a limited number of people who will actually be attending the trade show versus the whole bunch of people out there that can't attend that trade show. And my feeling is that if you're spending $1 million, which is probably what an RSNA booth of our size costs nowadays, or even more than that, might that better be spent in a different direction and not have a no present at the trade show, but a smaller presence?
Yeah, no, I think that's what we're agreeing on. By the way, I don't know if you know this story, Glenn, but it's a very interesting one to report. That's the story of Dr. Gerges. As you know, Dr. Gerges is in Ohio. Dr. Gerges is a GP. He is a family physician, which means that we would never go to him. We wouldn't go to him in a trade show. We wouldn't market him. Not a one of you would call on him, because the GP is good for one scan a month. And it's not, you'd have to, and there were 300,000 of them. But an ad ran, as you all know, in JAMA, and we got a call from a GP, and he closed the deal and gave us a deposit within 3 days, the fastest sale in the history of the company, a family practitioner.
Yep. I think that's it. I definitely agree with Dr. Demadian on that marketplace. You have no competition. Nobody's marketing them. And the point that we had made earlier when we were having this discussion, where Dr. Demadian said, and I totally agree, if you first refer them out, so the GP doesn't make the referral, he lets the specialist make the referral, he's now reduced his relationship with that patient, because he's now shown, I can't take you to it past a certain level as a patient.